I'd like to welcome all my people here. But listen, everything you love's about to disappear. I feel it coming, there's something in the air. But this is living. Oh, it's modern living. Yeah. My name's Harley Neville. Welcome along to the Guy and Harley podcast.
And I'm Guy Pigden. Who was that?
That's Enter Shikari from their brand new album, which I'm very excited about. I'm very excited that it's come out. They've been a few years since my favorite band, Enter Shikari, have released an album. So they've brought out one now, which is very fitting with the times, even though it's a coincidence because the majority of the work was done before all this Corona stuff. Obviously, they announced that they had a new album coming. They've been working on it for ages. But the theme, just thematically, it fits very well with what's going on in the world at the moment. So, yes, Enter Shikari. Go check them out. Their new album, which is called "Nothing Is True and Everything Is Possible."
Shit, that's deep.
It's deep, dog. Yeah. So this is a crack of dawn coffee episode of the Guy and Harley podcast today.
I'm sipping a Diet Coke, but yep.
Yeah, I'm sipping my second coffee. There's no drugs or alcohol to hide behind today, so I'm running on nothing but caffeine and malice.
Yes, and in case anyone was wondering, a little update about my camera breaking down. So,
in case anybody was wondering about
what
that.
I discovered is that my camera is not broken down. The expensive battery for the camera had broken down. So the way that I do these podcasts is because I'm very paranoid about the battery running out. So I have it plugged into an external battery. And that external battery has to have a dummy battery that goes into the camera, and that dummy battery inside the camera plugged to the external battery stopped working. And I just discovered that, and I sent a strongly worded email to the people that I bought it from. And I said, I'm disappointed, guys. I've only been using it for like a week, which is true. Oh,
yeah.
Something's happened to you on the live stream. That's cool.
But
You're back.
Yeah. You know what happened?
You pressed fucking record on Skype.
That's what I did. That is what I did.
One job.
One job.
One job.
At least it was nice and early, though.
Yeah, that's true.
It's nice and early, so I only have to steal a little bit. I'm gonna have to download the entire Skype, the entire Twitch episode, an hour and whatever it is. I'm gonna have to download it all just to take that 2 minutes from the top.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. So good one.
Good one, Harley.
Good one.
So what lockdown day is it today?
Day 24 by my calculations. I count day 24. But it all kind of blurs into one, really, doesn't it?
It does at a certain point. I mean, it's, get up, get on your computer, fuck around, repeat, really.
Yep.
Look at all the things that you can't have anymore. Think about, lament them for a while.
Long for the old days.
Go to bed.
Yeah. I'd like to point out that Guy delayed the show today. We were meant to have our call time at 11:45 a.m. That's when we for our tech checks.
Yep.
And Guy took a big shit at 11:45 a.m., which was our agreed upon call time. See?
Unfortunately, I was like, I waited up. I was like, can this shit wait for an hour and a bit? You know,
and the answer
and I was like, no, I can't wait. I've got to go now. I've got to do it. It's got to be done.
Yeah. See, I'm a professional. I took my shit with time to spare. I'm a punctual pooper.
Well, that's the thing. Like my shit is always in the morning. It's normally like I guess between half an hour and an hour and a half after waking. In this case, it was kind of towards an hour and a bit, so it's still on point, it's still on time.
Well, we're pretty much even now for that NZME thing.
What's that?
Where we had an important meeting
right.
at a big media conglomerate.
And you had to go and take a shit.
when we first got there. Hey, it's not my fault they scheduled a meeting in the morning. If you're going to schedule a meeting in the morning with me, if it's any time of the morning, you have to assume that at some point, well, you just have to
You're going to be
expect that at
gone
some
for
point
15
I
minutes.
might be gone for 15 minutes. If you don't want if you don't want that to happen, don't schedule a meeting in the morning. All right, especially not over coffee. Especially not if it's a coffee meeting.
Yeah, well, that's, yeah, there's always risks.
Yeah.
So, uh, yeah, what's been going on in your world?
Well, um, I got a letter from, sorry, I got a letter from the doctor a little while ago saying I had to go in for some tests, right? To go in for an ultrasound to see if it was a boy or a girl. It turns out it was a big turd. But the results of the ultrasound came
Mm.
back, and the doctor says I have mild non alcoholic fatty liver. And I was like, non alcoholic?
Right.
So now I've got to drink more water and exercise more and eat less salt, according to the doctor.
So, why did you have that test to begin with?
Well, it's a funny thing. I sort of fell into the health system. It's weird, but it's good for me. But like basically, years ago, I can't even remember why. I had a blood test for something, and they were like, "Oh, let's keep an eye on your like levels of something."
Right.
And I was like, "Okay, cool, let's do that." Because at one point they were like, "Stop eating so much fish and meat, you're going to get gout."
Mm-hmm.
So they were like, "So cut back on the salty and rich foods and all that type of thing." And then so basically, ever since then, every 6 months, I just get a letter from the doctor saying, go for your blood tests, and they send me out the form and everything. So I don't need to do anything. I just got to go to the clinic,
Mm.
get a blood test, and then get the results later. It's real easy. And then so anyway, obviously those blood tests, they saw something in those blood tests that said go for an ultrasound, and then I went for the ultrasound, and then they said I've got the mild non-alcoholic fatty liver. So
Well,
eat less salt.
also we got a question here. Do you both know your own blood types?
Uh,
My answer is I don't actually know it. I've seen it before, and I've been like, I've got
yeah,
to commit that to memory, and I have
yeah.
not done so.
Yeah, well, I'm exactly the same, except for I remember that it was the most common one, or possibly the second most common one.
Right.
But I think it was the most common one. So I was like, oh, good, sweet.
S- yeah.
Like if they're going to take a gamble, they're going to put in the most common blood type, that's what I've
So
got.
when they said go for an ultrasound, weren't you like,
Yeah.
what?
Well, they actually said go for an
I'm
MRI.
worried. Why would I do these
No, no,
things?
no. No, because they said it was an MRI, and I thought it was something to do with my back
Yeah.
because I have
Okay.
my back injury. So I thought they were like, "Hey, go in for your get a like an X-ray on your back type thing and see how it's healing or whatever." So I was like, "Okay, cool, whatever." And then I went in there, and they were like, "Cool, cool, cool." So it's not an MRI, it's an ultrasound, and I was like, "All right, I'm not even pregnant." And then they were like, "Well, uh, um, can't remember how, but basically it took a wee while to figure it out that it was for the blood
Right.
tests, which I wasn't expecting at all. So I didn't even know about that. Like I didn't think anything about the blood tests. It was just I was thinking it was a back thing.
So you've been so they actually caught you off guard with
Yeah,
I'm with you. I'm with you.
yeah, yeah.
And so
Plus,
fatty liver.
I th-
What is it?
yeah, non-alcoholic fatty liver. Mild non-alcoholic fatty liver. So I've got to eat better, and supposedly you can't really get rid of this extra fat very easily, but you can by eating and living healthily type thing. But it's not like easy to get rid of the fat around your liver.
Oh, I always thought you did eat pretty well. You just didn't
Well,
do any exercise whatsoever.
no, but that's silly. I exercise almost every day.
I mean,
It's just that I do mild exercise. I don't like try and bulk up at the
yeah.
gym. I just do some mild stretching and walking and so
Mm,
on. But I keep active every day.
mm,
Um, and my exercise habits are regular at least. They're mild but regular.
mm.
Um, and then the eating, yeah, I do eat pretty good. I thought I did, but I
Turns
don't know.
out,
I probably drink too much and eat too much salt.
that all bread diet.
The all bread diet. No, I don't think the salt and all that comes from the bread. I don't think the issues are coming from that. Last episode, I said regarding Joe Biden and Donald Trump in the upcoming election, I compared them to Biden to a creepy grandpa molester,
Yep.
and then Trump to an overt braggart racist
Rapist. Yep.
rapist.
I remember
Yeah.
that.
And I was, of course, just upset and hurt at the time about Bernie, So I'd just like to clarify that I don't actually think that Biden is a molester. But to continue using that analogy, I'm endorsing the grandpa molester, okay? I think that you should vote Biden. If it's between him and Trump, his policies are much better for the world. His leadership will be a lot more sensible, and at least he's a career politician who has some sense of diplomacy as well.
He's Biden his time.
He is Biden his time. If you're American, the fate of the world is in your hands.
Yeah.
So please go out and vote.
Well,
and please vote for Biden.
Also, look, I will say a couple of things about the Biden thing. It's the lesser of two evils, 100%. But also, he was vice president to Obama.
Exactly.
The great president of our time, Barack Obama. And so, especially great by comparison to everyone around him. So, and
some of that greatness will have rubbed off onto Biden.
Like, in terms of being qualified for a position, who better than the right-hand man of the president for 8 years to then become president? Like, he's like, okay, I understand the politics, I understand the responsibilities, I understand everything about this, and I had, like, in terms of being qualified, he is infinitely more qualified and better prepared than Trump in terms of his understanding of what the fuck he is doing. And so, that is not like, like if you want to talk about like a sort of in context of like an apprenticeship or like something like that, well, being vice president for 8 years is really as good as it's going to get. And Obama did do a pretty awesome sort of endorsement video. I don't know if you watched that.
I did watch that, and it was so refreshing to see how a president should speak, the way that he holds himself and his vocabulary and how articulate he is and how diplomatically he puts things. It was just so nice to see, and also just so weird to see, compared to Trump. And you just watch Trump talk and you're like, what? The entire fucking world is just completely gone upside down. It's gone insane. It's become comical. Like if you wrote this script 10 years ago, I'd say to you, Guy, this script is getting a bit silly. So let me get this straight. Donald Trump is president.
Donald Trump becomes president.
And he's just put the WWE, what's his name?
Vince McMahon.
He's just put Vince McMahon in charge of the economy.
To decide when the economy is going to reopen. Fucking WWE, yep.
You couldn't write it. I guess they did write it. It was Idiocracy.
They did, and it's so close to Idiocracy. It's actually, like, it's disturbing. And we've talked about that before as well. We've talked about how sort of prescient that movie is, but it just keeps getting more and more. And so that's the thing, is that, like, it's all crazy. It was lovely to hear Barack Obama talk eloquently like a president would, with like a sort of a tone of formal responsibility and passion for his country and his people, and his values representing that country. But if anything, it made me think, damn, can't he just come back? Can he not make a little comeback? Can we? Oh, is that not a thing? Like,
Who?
Barack Obama. Like, just get him, bring him back. Yeah. Emergency president. Normally you can only
I do
emergency
like that
president.
Idea. Of you get Biden in and put Barack as the VP. and then have that team going. It's the same team, but they've just swapped
Yeah.
seats.
Well, we've also had a few things here on the chat. Do you think that Obama could do a third term and he'd win from Trump in 2020? Yes, because even if you just put them side by side talking about issues, there's no way that anyone could really, say like, yeah, let's vote Trump in again. But, Trump versus Biden, yeah, maybe, there's a lot more gray area there for Biden to fail. But all of it is disturbing, and it's particularly disturbing the shifting of blame that's going on with Trump at the moment. This is our segment, Trump bashing segment that the Trump bashing segment that we always do on our podcast now. But disturbing the shifting of blame, the talk of like we're doing very well under 60,000. It's great. So under 60,000, we're under 60,000 deaths. That's a really great result for us. No, it's a terrible result. 60,000 deaths is a terrible, horrible thing. But it's a good result
for the leading nation in the world, like the world leader, the one, the nation among nations. For it to have the worst death toll and the worst response to all of this, it looks really bad on the international geopolitics scene. It doesn't make them look strong. It makes them look weak. It looks like if you just kick in the door, the whole rotten edifice will come tumbling down.
Also, the sad and scary thing is he clearly doesn't understand. Like he does not understand, what the coronavirus is doing in his country. He's tweeting he's tweeting for the people in certain states to revolt against the advice of their.
Well, that's one way of interpreting it. Yeah.
Well, why else would he be tweeting this stuff?
Oh yeah, no, he's an inflammatory idiot. This is the thing. What if, because Mike Pence is there, right? He's this evangelical, crazy, creationist Christian guy, right? Now, these people, they legitimately believe that the end of days are coming and, the rapture and all of that type of stuff. They really do believe, that stuff is happening one day, and there's going to be this reckoning between, God and Satan and all of that type of stuff, and the good people are going to be taken away to heaven and all of that. So it's like it seems to me that if anybody has nefarious plots and conspiracies, it would be these guys that want to hasten around, the end of the world. So someone like Mike Pence can get up there and pull the strings and use Trump to essentially bring around doomsday, because they're a big, Christian death cult.
Well, I did like the article. You would have loved this one. I'm surprised you didn't share it, Harley. Maybe you didn't see it pop up, but essentially there was a. Maybe what did we talk about there? But there was a church preacher who are they priests or preachers? What the fuck are they? Either or. Well, so anyway, and he was continued to hold gatherings in spite of the coronavirus, and he was like, there's more than 10 people here, stand up everyone, because we're in the house of God and we're protected by God, and God's going to solve everything, and so I'm going to keep doing these until I'm dead. And then he died of the coronavirus, which he probably got there,
probably at the church. Yeah.
So
it's exquisite, isn't it?
Well, I mean, I just thought it
just delicious.
I thought it would,
just delectable.
I thought it would delight you. I actually, I think Richard Dawkins retweeted that. But look, it's a perfect example of people being stupid. When it's like, whether you're religious or not, regardless of your beliefs, just just follow the fucking law. All right. Yeah.
Well, just common sense as well. This is the big problem with being religious, is that at a certain point you've got to suspend your disbelief to believe it. You've got to go, well, yeah, like you ask a question, and you don't like the answer. Eventually, you kind of reach the point where you're like, you've got to suspend your disbelief. And so if you're willing to do that at some level, well, you're willing to do it at like any level the preacher tells you to, really. So if they tell you to come on in and all your mates are doing it, you can totally see why they would do it.
Yeah.
It's their own faith working against them, being finally revealed as the I don't know, weight that it's always been, the shackle that it's always been, shackling them.
Well, I also think like the biggest problem with this coronavirus is to the unwashed masses, it is not visible, right?
Yeah.
Unless you go to a hospital that is inundated, unless you know someone that has gotten really sick from it, or you have personally gotten really sick from it. So you know what it feels like. All of it is just kind of seems like pomp and circumstance. It seems like, hey, well, we're talking about this, but I can walk around and nothing happens, and I go in here and nothing happens, and I go to a supermarket and nothing happens, and so nothing's happening. So why am I out of business? Why don't I have a job anymore? And obviously. And that's the problem with a lot of these, like, I guess, global issues such as this and climate change and whatever is that. If you can't see it, like, if you're not an island that has been flooded by rising sea levels and you've all had to sort of, which has happened, but so they're very much aware of global warming and climate change and really want to see a change. But, Joe Bloggs down the road hasn't. And it's same with the coronavirus, I think, and we are in a danger with that in New Zealand, where it's like, okay, so it seems that we've mitigated it to a degree. We flattened the curve due to this lockdown, and so now everyone's like, so why are we having a lockdown? It was stupid. We didn't even need to. Look at the cases. This is dumb, and it's like, God, it's the cause and effect, guys. Cause and effect. But they're also like, there's that I don't see what the big deal is anyway kind of stance, because
the tempest in
a teapot. It'll be gone in 2 weeks.
Yeah,
it'll all blow over. We'll be reopening by Easter.
All of these online fads. You remember when Australia was on fire? Me either.
Who cares about that?
Me either. All right, these internet fads.
And
tempest in a teapot.
And so there's, I think that's the problem, is like, to sort of mitigate and solve the problem, you don't see the huge ramifications of the problem. So then you don't feel like it was this huge problem. And so then you feel this resentment towards your government or your country for making you lose your livelihood.
Lose business, Yeah, I read an article talking about exactly that. It was basically talking about, riding the wave and keeping the level of the waves, low and manageable. But that the problem with it would be that you would never see an outbreak because you'd constantly be just gently, mitigating it. And so you would never get the reward because it's, it never gets dangerous. And so you never take it too seriously because they've kind of got it under control, and it becomes a self-fulfilling, circle.
Yeah.
Prophecy.
That's right. It's tricky. And Don Bosco held says, one positive thing, Greenland is the first country to have been fully cleared from the coronavirus.
I actually thought that the Cook Islands were the first.
Well, either or, that's great news. And I guess in New Zealand, we're hoping to get to that stage, I think. That's the ultimate governmental goal, I imagine. But, whether that is actually possible or not, it will be hard to say.
Where is the ladder in this pit of chaos, Guy? Investing might be the answer.
What you mean, like investing in stocks and shares?
Investing in stocks and shares, but in companies, because the world is going to be so different after this. And what I mean by that is all of the businesses that are going out of business right now are going to be replaced at some point by other companies which are going to pop up at some point in the future, in the next however many years. So every company that goes under, something else will come up to replace it eventually. Something's going to fill that gap in the market. Now, the question is, when a new company is being built, are they going to build it based off the old fossil fuel model? Probably not. The new model is going to be like working at home. It's going to be, or everything's going to be green and electric and efficient and value. Worth it. The value, the investment and the value you get out of it is going to be much more even. And they're going to be thinking about all these things, and they're going to have advantages over the other companies that are still on the old fossil fuel model, and because of all of these cost savings and so on that they're doing. And so I think that now is the time to be investing in like kind of green technology and these types of data and information online, streaming and online services that we all use, all these types of things. I think it's time to be investing in all of that stuff if you can afford it.
Yeah. Oh, you're not wrong. Also,
and you will also, by doing that as well, you're also shaping the world that you want to see, because you're investing in the things that you want to see, come to fruition. So you can go on investing in the fossil fuel stuff, but this comes with a sort of a little moral pat on the back as well.
Well,
because you are bringing the bright future into fruition.
I think it's also the companies
with your dollar
that that sort of work out a methodology where they can bring their entire sort of workflow online when necessary. So, normally, yes, you'll have face-to-face, customer handling, and you'll be doing all this stuff, in a normal office context. But then if, for example, there's another pandemic, or if there's another wave and the lockdowns escalate, your company can transition to online, sort of entirely online. Because then you have, a huge advantage where you're not one of the ones that's just completely shutting down. You're continuing on in a way that, in theory, if you could sort of keep everything, in effect. So this is for all the sort of, I guess, like computer-based companies and that work around that.
NVIDIA. Or however you say that name.
But yeah, I think there's that thing, because like even for instance, like in the teaching place, like a sort of a university that can make everything online now is much more likely to A, stay afloat, but B, even get an influx of students. Then
but they're going to have such a low standard of education, though, those students, compared to people who actually get into a classroom and interact with their peers and so on, and throw ideas around with their peers in person and all of that type of stuff. Like anybody who had an online degree, I don't care what university it's from. If you got an online degree, I'm thinking less of it than a normal, university degree.
Well, I think it depends on what type of thing it is.
It's not natural. Humans don't learn like that. It's not going to be as effective.
I mean, I think that there's definitely some difficulties in doing it. I think that you could get to a same standard with a lot of things. There's some practical things that no amount of online, sort of tutorials or seminars will help you with. But I think that probably, 60% of because what is truly the difference? If I can see your desktop and I can talk to you directly,
the big difference,
and you can see me and I can see you, so I can see every element that I could normally see.
Yeah. But that's fine. That's all fine. Obviously, that part of it's fine. The transmitting of information and receiving information is fine. But going to university is not just about the transmitting and receiving of that information. It's about moving to Dunedin and getting away from your parents and living and getting shit-faced with your friends
and barely scraping
by, but learning how to budget and learning how to do all of those things that you have to do, and meeting people, and then also having lots of stimulating conversations and thought-provoking and mind-shaping conversations with other kind of intelligent people that are also studying the same thing as you, because these are your peers, and you're hanging out with them and you talk about your school, your university shit, and that's all part of it too, making those relationships and also, growing as a person as you have them.
Well, presumably those conversations would have to happen online, and sort of which do happen online for the younger generation anyway. But you're right that the life skills side of it is going to be sorely missing, because they're all going to be at their fucking parents' basement fucking taking the course.
Exactly.
And mummy and daddy are going to be paying for everything.
Exactly.
Yeah, I admit that is, and like even the concept of sort of moving cities to, for that education, or countries for that education, that's something that you
Mm.
can't replace by doing that course online. But I still think that the people that will thrive will be ones that kind of create a great online learning experience for their students, and are very forward thinking in the way that they teach online. And it's the ones that kind of maintain the old model and feel like they can make no adjustment or no pivot are the ones that are going to really suffer. But we'll see.
We will see. I am back on Bumble.
Back buzzing on Bumble.
Yep, I'm self-isolating.
Yep, I like that. I didn't
I
laugh, but I
updated.
liked it. Wasn't funny enough to laugh, but I liked it.
There was no ha-ha react on that one. It's just a like react.
Just a casual like react. Yeah.
Okay. So I actually thought that would be dad joke number one. I was
No,
surprised
but
that it wasn't called
I
out
put
as
it.
dad
No,
joke number
dad
one.
joke number one was he's biding his time, which was my one.
Okay.
So I
Well,
take
dad joke
credit
number
for dad joke number one this time. But yep.
I've got a new drinking game. If you play the Guy and Harley drinking game,
Yep.
we haven't really set up a Guy and
No.
Harley podcast drinking game properly, but we really should. But the gist of it will definitely be anytime there's a dad joke that gets called out, has to be called out. That's a drink. You got to drink.
Yep.
Yeah.
There should be the skull, really.
Well,
Finish your vessel.
Few too many dad jokes in the Guy and Harley podcast. You're going to be shit faced. But I did update my Bumble status. I changed it to, so it's a picture of me and it says the boyfriend package includes consistent dick and half the rent paid. How do you think that's going to do?
Well, you tell me. You've put it up. How many?
Oh, that's all I've done so far. I've just put it up.
You haven't seen how many people have liked.
No,
you haven't got any likes or super likes or whatever the fuck it is on Bumble.
No, that's not really how it works. You in order to find out if anybody's liked you, you've got to start mindlessly sweeping through and just hoping to match with them, or you've got to pay, and I ain't paying.
Also, it is quite a big lie, Harley, to say consistent dick.
I mean, consistently, I'm a dick. that's what I mean.
Nothing to do with sex. Inconsistent.
Yeah. I got a couple of shout outs, a little bit of feedback here. So shout outs to Tommy Svilar and Ben Fowler, both long-term listeners. Tommy is an occasional listener, not a full-timer, but he says he's going to get back into it. So shout out to Tommy and Ben Fowler, as always, tuning in. Shout out, mate. I was a bit worried. Oh, and also Wazza as well. I wonder if Mrs. Wazza's into it still. But Wazza, I know Wazza's out there still listening too. He says that he likes to sit in the car. I was concerned that he would only tune in when he was driving to and from work, and probably like the same with a lot of other people, just near him on the train and all that. But no, Wazza says he still listens. He says sometimes he likes to go sit in the car and listen anyway. So he escapes the kids, presumably, sits in the car and listens to the Guy and Harley podcast.
Well, look, it's good.
This is what we're here for, people. We're providing a service.
Good to escape. Everyone needs a moment of reprieve, especially from the family. So I guess it goes in scales of who I feel sorry for most. I feel sorry for most people that have gotten someone that has gotten very ill or died from the coronavirus. Secondly, my feel sorry for is people that have lost their jobs or livelihoods and are really struggling financially because of the virus. And then I guess thirdly, all the sort of health professionals and essential workers, got to give them a shout out, because without them, I can't drink any beer. No one's keeping the hospitals going.
There's no bread. There's no bread in the shops.
No bread. But then obviously this is a biggie. It's all the people with fucking families and their fucking families doing their fucking heads in for a whole fucking month or 2 or 3. And they're just like, I can't go anywhere because I'm on lockdown. If I go outside, I've got to fucking take them because I want some exercise. Dad, I haven't been out. Dad, Mum,
Yeah.
it's an ongoing horror show. There's no reprieve. There's no school. Oh, Dad, are you ready for school? Yep. Take a seat, son, and let me fucking try and work out the times tables again, which I'd forgotten about 20 years ago.
Because you don't need them in real life.
Let me just go and work out what the Pythagoras theorem is again, and we'll fucking break that down today. Jesus. So I do really feel for there's no, where do they go? You got to send them to their room? Shit, it must be hard. So glad. Like, I've never been more grateful for not having a family or anyone that will take care of me in my old age.
Absolutely. I catch flights, not feelings.
No one catches flights anymore.
Yeah. We haven't heard much from that crowd lately. The I catch flights, not feelings crowd. Haven't heard much from them during this lockdown. Us, I should say.
Yeah. I
got a third piece of feedback as well, which is so this is from Guy McDoyouall, the same Guy McDoyouall who called in last week with the questions about writing and so forth.
Sweet.
And so he's only just started listening to episode 162, he says, but he is happy, he's liking it so far. And I said he's got a question for this week, a follow-up question for this week. He says this is obviously he's a screenwriter, so a creative type himself. He says, do you have any tools, strategies, or techniques for Do you have any tools, strategies, or techniques for increasing or improving your creative output? For example, do either of you use some funky new way of brainstorming, a new method to help with the creative process, or that type of thing? So tools or strategies or techniques that we use for increasing our creative output.
Yeah, I've got a few. One of them is no longer possible. One was that I would go to a cafe to do my writing work, and I found that useful because, one, I got out of the house, so I'd have to stop masturbating, thank God.
Thank goodness.
Two,
that's what your penis says, thank goodness.
Two, I would be in the position that I'd be forced to buy something at the cafe, even if it was just a coffee. So the expenditure meant that
needs to be justified.
Exactly. So I had to justify. It's like, okay, I'm fucking off to this cafe. Maybe I'm gonna have a nice little cafe meal, and maybe I'm gonna have a couple of coffees. So I really have to earn my keep. Otherwise, I just spent that money for no fucking reason. Now, in this time of Corona, obviously we can't go to a cafe, but I still do have two tips which I think are sort of crucial to sort of increasing your sort of creative output, which is I've got an app called Freedom, which turns off your internet for a period of time. Just turns it off. Everything.
Yeah.
Don't get anything from it. Don't get emails. Don't get calls. Don't get nothing. I've found that there's nothing more distracting than having the ability to flick through your other things, your Facebook feed, your Twitter feed, your Instagram, whatever, and there's a constant desire to do that. If you take that away, and also emails, you get an email, well, I better reply to that. I better stop writing a reply to that because we need to fucking know that right now. And all of this, like, decreases your creativity hugely. So, like, you just put it on, you don't have to kill yourself, just put it on for like a 1 hour burst or something like that. You go, boom, 1 hour, no distractions. Now, you do have to take your phone and put it in another room as well, because otherwise your phone is going to get messages and you're just going to fuck around on your phone. So that is definitely like my number one tip. If I want to just hit the creativity buzz, I crank Freedom, and I found that's better than any sort of specific, like, I mean, to be honest, like, my issue was not like that I'm devoid of inspiration. It's that I'm low on time, and and obviously, like all writers, I try and put off writing no matter what. So if I've got a whole day to write, I'll fuck around for the whole day until the last like 3-4 hours, and it's like, oh, look, if you don't start writing now, you're fucked, mate. You fucking ruined it. You're a piece of shit, and you'll feel angry with yourself. So I leave it right till then, till the self-loathing is at its all-time high, and then that's when I'll really dig in. But it's way better not to do that. But as writers, that's the first thing, because the mental arithmetic involved in writing and planning and all that stuff is super tricky. So to me, the biggest tip is always remove the distractions. And that is remove the internet, basically. If you can't go on the internet, you'll get so much done.
Well, my strategy is very similar to my exercise strategy, which is I just make sure I do something every day, and also try to make sure that almost everything I do is in some way contributing to my overall goals. So most of the time, if you ask me what the hell I'm doing, I will have found some way to justify why I'm doing it in my mind as a productive way of spending that day or that little piece of time. So yeah, I try to do like something small every day, pretty much, as like kind of a minimum baseline to get things done. That's pretty much all I do. And as long as I've achieved one little thing, the trick is to be doing things that you like, make your vocation and your hobby the same thing, sort of thing, so that you enjoy doing it. And that's kind of what I find is I just kind of every little thing I'm doing, I'm trying to contribute to the overall hustle in some way. So yeah, little things every day, basically. That's all I do.
Yeah, well, I think there's quite a few methods. It is also important to sometimes not. My big problem is that if I haven't done that, I feel like it's a day wasted. If I haven't done anything, I feel like it's a day wasted. But then what happens in that situation is you don't ever switch off, and you kind of sort of start sacrificing free time, as in what you should actually use to absorb stuff, with just trying to chip away at your own stuff. And I do feel that there is also just a very sometimes rather than fall into that self-loathing bubble of fuck, I haven't done anything today, and fuck, it's all a big waste, and what am I even doing with my life? You need to just go, okay, cool. I'm not really getting too much done today. And that's okay, because I've been doing quite a lot recently, and now I'm just going to put on something, and maybe that's going to get the juices flowing. And and what I mean is like an inspiring film. Something like that, or reading something.
I'm in a motivational slump at the moment, really, myself, to be honest. Guy McDo you all, who's I'm in a bit of a slump myself, creatively. Although I have stayed somewhat active. Like for example, I acted in I had a cameo appearance in somebody's 48-hour film yesterday, from the comfort of my bedroom. So yeah.
Well, yeah,
staying active, but not yeah, a little unmotivated, a little I don't know. I guess I need what I need, I guess, is somebody to talk to, a friend of some description, that I can be like bouncing ideas off, pillow talk, bouncing ideas off and so forth.
Can't help you there, mate. Too busy.
Too busy.
Well, look, like I said, you just have to start throwing those ideas to me.
Yeah.
But yeah, so
well, speaking of films and 48-hour films and so on, you are about to embark on an adventure.
I am.
You are about to shoot the film that we mentioned in the very last episode of the Guy and Harley podcast.
That's right. So I sort of, since that conversation, I've been slaving away trying to fight through the motivational malaise of the lockdown, to do something interesting. And so we talked about it last week, a short film. And so I've now written that short film. Harley has given his notes, which greatly annoyed me. Very unspecific, which sent me into a rage when he sent the first ones through. But he did give me one.
They were quite similar to your notes that you gave me.
They are similar.
to the production that I recently produced that has been edited together. It's
Yeah.
called, the working title is called Jack and John. I produced it for
Yeah.
somebody, and it's been cut together. I sent it to Guy, and Guy's notes were very, very strikingly similarly vague to
Well,
my
they
notes.
were and they weren't, because it's in terms of the edit, like if I were to say to you, go through and take out all these lines, it would
Mm.
take me forever. It would almost be like I did a paper edit of the edit.
Yeah, yeah.
When really it just needs to be looked over with a fine eye and have a good editor take all those things out. And whenever think something's not quite ringing true, see what it sounds like when you don't have that.
Mm.
Whereas for me, I was looking for some specific, like, because you were like, well, it's probably 30% too long. And I was like, cool, which 30% do I need to get rid of? Because
Yeah, but basically my argument, what I was coming from
yeah.
was from the producing
Yes.
perspective of it, of like keeping the story simple and short. And basically I was saying that it doesn't feel like it needs to be this long and that you can get all of this stuff in. But the thing about that is that only matters if you are looking for things to make the shoot easier. But you don't want to make the shoot easier. You've got this 3-day shoot planned. I guess you got plenty of time. You want to do it that way. So you can, and you might as well shoot it, and then you can still chop that shit out in the edit later if you don't need to. So if it's not really any extra skin off your nose, then why not shoot it? So basically I was saying it feels like it could be a lot shorter, it feels like it could be quicker, but you might as well shoot it the way it is, I guess, if because we don't know which bits to take out yet.
Well, I think that is a problem, and it's not a problem, it's just the reality of filmmaking, which is that when you write something, and even when you film it, you really don't know, like, how it's going to work. Like, you have a very specific idea of how you think it's going to work, and you have a very specific idea of how you think it's going to be edited. But when you get to the edit, what you find is like, you know what? That's not really scary. Or you know what? That shot doesn't work. Or you know what? That line sounds terrible. Or you know what? That actor was really off on that take. And you find all these you-know-whats, but you don't find those you-know-whats when you're writing necessarily. You find them a bit further down the road. And obviously all good, like, unless you... And don't get me wrong, I think there is a skill in writing an excellent script, which is just... everything is brilliant. But when you film that, not everything is going to be brilliant. Even if the script is super tight and super concise, because what happens when you make films is things don't go the way you hoped. For one reason or another, for all the variables that there are. So it is sometimes hard to kind of look at something, and even when you're in the filming of it, and know what is right and what will feel right at the end, because it's a different kettle of fish when you put it together, when you've got score and music and sound effects, and does this thing need to be said? Can you do it with a look? Did we really actually manage to achieve that thing we set out to do with this scene or shot or timing? And you sort of discover all those things after the fact. But it does mean that filmmaking can be kind of a wasteful process, because you're throwing out, be prepared to kill your babies, they say.
Yeah, and so you are shooting on Monday, and it's going to be, which is tomorrow, and it's going to be a 3-day shoot. Yeah.
It's going to be a 3-day shoot. It's all shot in my house, obviously, because it's lockdown, and in the nearby surrounding areas, the park and the street, but primarily the house. It's going to star my girlfriend, who's never acted before in her life. It's and it's going to be like, I guess that's the other thing too, is like when you're on our level, right? Either you're getting paid very little or nothing at all for your work. So you have to then, so what is the choice? Like, you make choices about something that you may choose to do something because you think it'll further your career, or, be a sellable potential thing, or you do something because you think it is creatively going to really be stimulating. Like the creative challenge is what attracts you. And so a lot of the time, the things that excite me is the creative challenge, the creative / artistic challenge of a certain film project. And obviously we're in this very unique situation, lockdown. I don't have a crew, I don't have a team, So what can I do? That's the creative challenge. What can I do around that? Still involving, the help and assistance of all my good friends in the industry and all those creative people. What's the challenge to make something that's still entertaining and could work in spite of those challenges? So,
well, if you change your mind about all of this, I do have another idea. Right? New porn idea, and I think this could go really viral, is you get a big sheet of see-through plastic, right? And you put it in the middle of the room. Now the room would have to be a neutral third space. It's not your space, or it's not the lead. It's neither of the people's space. But basically, say it's like a hotel room or something like that. It's a space, and it's separated by a big wall of clear plastic sheeting, except for a hole with a built-in condom. And then two people from separate bubbles can meet in this space and have sex through the plastic without ever having touched or exchanging any type of fluids or anything else that could exchange the virus. What do you think?
I'm just gonna let that idea sit with everyone for a little second. So this is what my producing partner has been dedicating his creative thought process to. A fucking sheet with a condom in it where you fuck each other from different bubbles.
That would get millions of views. That would be the first interbubble porn that doesn't violate the bubble rules. It's an interbubble porn that doesn't violate the bubble rules. I think I'm onto something here. I think the listeners will weigh in with me. I think they'll say that I'm definitely onto something.
Never mind older. Never mind I'm either vegan. Never mind any of the things that you could be thinking about for marketing that. You've come up with an idea for a Corona porno.
Which will get millions of views and a strong passive online income.
Well, look, as far as fucking crazy ideas go in this time, yeah, sure. I could see how that would work. Although you're gonna have to get someone in with the PPE gear to replace that condom.
Well, yeah, that's true. That's true. And the whole sheet.
The sheet would have to be taken down every time.
Yeah, there'd be a biohazard.
The PPE man who's got to do that job is a real hero. Is the real hero. And yes, someone has just said.
Well, that'd be you.
The comment. Someone has just said, "No, Harley, just no."
Yeah.
And I can't say.
That's from K1W1 on YouTube.
Yeah. So thanks for weighing in on that one.
Thanks for the feedback. Yeah, all right. Well, look, I'm just spitballing. See, this is what Guy McDowell was talking about. This is like, do we have any sort of special thing that, helps us like throw ideas around? This is what I'm doing. I'm throwing ideas around. This is what I get returned. This is what it comes back to me.
Yeah.
No, just no. That's what I get. See? This is why I find it so difficult to maintain motivation as a creative person. I need a yes man. I need to be surrounded by yes men. That's what I need. What I really need is a yes woman who I have pillow talk with.
Yeah, but you also
position vacant.
You also don't want people to facilitate your stupidity either.
Yeah, well, yeah, you got to find someone that kind of their margin for tolerance is kind of similar. Like that they'll kind of keep you on track still. They won't be like yes to everything. You don't want a true yes man, I guess, a yes woman. Now, a couple of reviews. I also watched Tiger King.
Yep.
Which you mentioned last week while I was otherwise occupied. And I watched it, and yes, it was worth watching. It was pretty good. I mean, it wasn't as good as, say, the Unabomber in his own words.
I sadly had to scroll past that on Netflix and think of you when I was like, oh, this is that bullshit that Harley was talking about.
This is the shit Harley was on about. No, that was good. And also The Pharmacist was really good as well. And I think those are both better than Tiger King personally. But they're a totally different, thing. Well, they're all related to crime and stuff, I guess. But
Docutainment.
They brought out another episode, which is a Skype episode where some guy is interviewing all of the main people from Tiger King. Well, most of the main people from Tiger
Mm.
King. Did you see
No, I
that?
didn't see that one.
Yeah, so I was like, I'm not watching that fucking shit. Obviously, I've seen the series. That's enough. That's all well and good. I can put it behind me now. But then I couldn't resist. I ended up watching it anyway. So it was quite interesting to see what they're all up to. But we won't delve into it because presumably some people haven't seen it yet. But anyway, if you haven't seen it, go check it out.
Did
And
did
yeah.
Carol Baskin murder her husband?
Oh, they certainly made the documentary crew certainly made it look that way. And it does seem very suspicious. And this idea that he just, in her own words, up and walked away one day, her husband,
Yeah.
pretty ridiculous.
There's
He just up and walked away. Basically, she's saying that he got up, he left the country and just disappeared. That's her story, and she's sticking to it.
or got into an accident along the way.
Yeah, yeah, but it's pretty ridiculous. So yeah, she probably did kill him.
How do you think she did it?
I think she shot him, and then she fed him to the tigers.
That would be the
Right.
I mean,
She's got plenty of space to do it. And anything else like bones or whatever, you could smash them up, grind them up and burn them and shit, and like sort of spread them out somewhere, and nobody'd ever know. And then everything else goes to the tigers.
also,
I mean, there's so many bones. They feed bones to so many, from so many animals all the time to them. A few extra human bones in there. Especially if you were keeping an eye. If you paid attention to which tiger you fed him to, and then kept an eye on that tiger's shit, and then went through the tiger's shit and got rid of anything, like teeth or anything like that that's going to like give you away, and just kind of keep an eye on it.
also she was super young.
That's how I
She
do
was
it.
super young back then. Like,
She was young and hot. In
yeah,
those days.
like you see like 55-year-old Carol Baskin, you're like, she's not gonna murder someone. Look at her. But
Yeah.
young, hot Carol Baskin, looking to, get rid of this some annoying dude that she didn't really love and inherit all his wealth. If you're gonna murder someone, that's when you're gonna do it when you're young and hot. So
Yeah.
I think she probably did do it as well. It seems like otherwise there would just be
question
more
is,
information.
Yeah, so she just did it by herself. Is that the thing? Did she just do it completely alone? Just get a gun and shoot him on the park one day and then feed him to the tigers? Or is there somebody in on it, which is her family? They kind of suggested that her family was in on it and helped her.
I feel like it may have been her and one other person, and
Yeah.
together they sorted that one out. But
Well, so the Unabomber manifesto, the Unabomber in his own words on Netflix. I watched that. I enjoyed that. Very interesting. And so now I started reading his manifesto. And so during lockdown, as the world ends, I'm reading the Unabomber's manifesto, and it's a questionable strategy for mental health. Questionable strategy indeed. But according to him, it turns out that the drive that we all feel for things like filmmaking and creativity, that those things are not real. That drive is those activities are not really what we're passionate about. Those activities are just a surrogate activity. So filmmaking is a surrogate activity to make up for the fact that the energy from our what he calls power process needs to be diverted somewhere. And so what that power process is, so basically what he's saying is that, in other words, the reason why we feel driven to achieve things in life, such as becoming great filmmakers or finding the cure for cancer, is because we've channeled our natural human drive to survive, which means get food, water, and shelter every day. These things that, when the stakes were really high and every day we had to find food, water, and shelter. And he's saying that natural drive to survive, we've diverted that energy into from day-to-day survival into the surrogate activity, which is filmmaking or or it could be like, raising a family or anything like that. Because basically all of our food, water, and shelter is provided for us every day. So we no longer need to stress about that and worry about that. So we still have that drive to survive though, and we take it and we turn it on different surrogate activities. But his argument is that ultimately these surrogate activities are pointless and they're never going to truly make us happy in the same way that actually struggling for food, water, and shelter, but going to bed at the end of the day with a full tummy and next to a warm fire, you're going to be much happier. That psychologically, a human is going to be much happier in that environment, having worked all day just to survive, and then going to sleep is going to be psychologically much more content and happy than in this crazy industrialized world we live in at the moment, which is his argument, it would seem. I'm only halfway through it. That's his argument for toppling all of civilization. See, that's where we diverge, I think. I'm cool with lots of what he's saying, but ultimately his answer is like, we can't fix this system. We can't bend this system to our will. We can't change this system, this industrial system we live in. The only thing we can do is destroy it and live in the rubble.
Just got to blow it the fuck up.
He's just wanted to destroy it and live in the rubble. He wants us all to fall apart, tear itself apart, and then we all just live in the rubble. And he says that we'll all be happier.
So he's the Joker.
As individuals.
He's the Joker from The Dark Knight, is basically.
Is he? Yeah. I think I haven't seen... from The Dark Knight. That's the Heath Ledger one, right? Yeah, I did see that one. Isn't he also, I think, might hold some similarities to the Destroyer of Worlds. What's the Destroyer of Worlds name?
Oh, Thanos.
Yeah. I think he might hold a similar outlook to Thanos.
Interesting. So I think...
And maybe Bane.
Thank you very much, Unabomber. You've taught us something today. Look.
You've left me horribly unmotivated for anything except for survival.
Well, no, I mean, look, to be honest, of course we're channeling our sort of base instincts into something that we no longer have to channel, right?
Yeah,
that's 100% true. And yeah, sure, we do also have to assign meaning to our lives. And in the olden days, assigning the meaning would be like, I hunted and got some food. And so now we can live another day. That's pretty meaningful. We get to live another day, guys. The family gets to live. That's as meaningful as you can get. So yes, by taking that away, we do have to channel that somewhere else. To assign meaning to our lives, we do have to attribute a sense of self-worth to something. In our case, it's filmmaking or whatever, or raising a family or whatever. So I'm not really disagreeing with him. I'm on board with the Unabomber.
Me too so far.
That's fine. So, do we have to blow up civilization? No, maybe we can just continue being filmmakers. I guess that's where we disagree is like, I guess you could say that surviving based on your own sort of achievements is you might find more rewarding because of the literal life and death sort of
exertions
that you're going through to, and that the ramifications of that, maybe means a lot more than getting 100,000 views on YouTube. Surviving, maybe getting 100,000 views on a wanking video on YouTube is not as fulfilling as surviving a day and having to exert yourself in order to do that survival. Maybe getting 100,000 views
on your latest wank video.
on a video where you portray two gay hobbits. And one of them sodomizes the other in some caves after he thinks he's dead. Maybe that's not as fulfilling as, getting out and putting food on your family's plate and living another day. I don't know.
Yeah.
I haven't been in the other situation, but what I do know is I find the option that we take actually very rewarding. So
if you haven't seen our gay Lord of the Rings Hobbit parody, go along to YouTube and search for The Calling of the Ring Pigville. Or, Pigville is the keyword, Pigville. The channel name is Pigville and the number 2, and you can see we've got a Lord of the Rings playlist there. Go along and check that out if you haven't seen it. There's 4 brilliant episodes of our gay Hobbit parody.
So, yeah, look, to me, the way I see it is he's possibly entirely right. However, I'm quite happy assigning the meaning in my life to my creative outputs, I suppose. Even though it can be very unrewarding and disappointing at times, as far as like we all have to assign meaning to our life. So we've got to do something, and it's not going to be with that. Now, yes, you could decide to blow up everything like he did, but you know, there's a lot of loss of human life in that one. Whereas if you're just making wanking jokes on YouTube, you're really not hurting anyone. You're only bringing joy.
I think he would argue that we are hurting people with our complacency, in that if we don't topple civilization with him, he's saying that if we topple civilization, that every individual will ultimately, at the end of each
Be
day,
more fulfilled.
when all the dust settles, be more fulfilled, and that we are maintaining the status quo by creating these wank jokes on YouTube, these gay wank jokes on YouTube. We're actually the enemy.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad he's been locked away, and he can't blow me up for my creative endeavors.
Yeah. Well, he's going to get his way anyway, potentially, by the looks of things, because when I talk about my concerns for the future with this COVID business, I've mentioned that I'm not so worried about the virus. Now, that's obviously because I'm in New Zealand, where the virus is not running rampant.
And it's a tempest in a teapot as well, obviously.
It's a tempest in a teapot. So I'm less worried about like catching the virus when I'm concerned about the future. But the things I've always mentioned are like the economy and sort of this concern of going into a depression. And so but that's not really because of money or anything to do with my own like greed. It's more like my comprehension of how bad I think a depression would actually be to actually live in if we had a really bad depression. And I'm picturing that, our filmmaking dreams being over, not just over, but being actually a relic of the old world. And in the new world, nobody is consuming them, and basically we're all on the breadline, and we're working in the mines now, and we work in the mines to mine the nickel to be used in the iPhones that only our overlords can afford, because we are part of the unwashed masses now.
Yeah. Oh, look, hey, that's I'm not really saying that doomsday scenario was not possible, but until that time. Until that the hammer has been brought down, I will continue to make stuff. But yeah, absolutely. Maybe no one's going to care about it, and well,
these are just the things I worry about. Of course, sometimes I feel positive about the future, sometimes I feel negative. Sometimes I feel excited and aroused and unsure.
Aroused at the possibilities the future may bring. Well, for me, I to be honest, as quoted in Older, it pays not to look too far into the future for anyone. And so obviously you want to have a game plan as you go forward, but I sort of try and live every day as sort of to live in the moment, they say, is good. But, you can't just entirely do that. But I think that I don't try and think too far into those doomsday scenarios, just like I don't try and think too far into the great scenarios. I stay a neutral course where I am just speculating on how I'm going to get my shot list tomorrow. Well,
look, I think that making a movie is actually, as long as you don't spend much money on it, that making a movie is actually a really productive way to enter, to the new world, basically, because if you create this thing and if it does go online and get a bunch of views, it potentially can generate passive income forever. And I reckon that's the name of the game at the moment, is get that passive income generated online, even though advertising revenue will go down because less people will be paying for advertising in this new economy. If you can create content and get it out there and get it ticking over and earning you, passive income online basically for the rest of your life, that's where you want to be at. Each one of those is an asset. Every film that you own is an asset, and so the more we create and the more we put out there, the more little trickles of revenue we're going to have coming in. So I think it's a great idea to be making the movie at the moment, as long as you don't spend too much money on it, basically. Well, that's it really. Just don't spend too much money on it.
I'm hoping this one's going to be just probably a no. Don't do this festival circuit. Don't do nothing. Just put it online. See what happens. Just put it online. Just online, whatever.
you say that, and that's a good idea until we see it and it's really good. And then it's like, okay, well, this is a really good film. We might as well submit it, because if it wins best short film at a horror festival or something like that, then that is obviously really good. Like, that's great for everyone. That looks good on IMDb, and it's it's great.
Well, we'll see. But look, we do have to wrap this up because I have to go and do all the prep for the short film now.
Yes. All right. And I've got to stand over there now. So thank you very much for listening. And if you would like to support us, you can go to patreon.com/Pigville, and you can give us $1 a month, and that'll keep this podcast alive. We would really appreciate that. You can that makes all the difference to us at the moment with the current financial climate and passive income and all the rest of it. If you want to keep up to date, all the things I post them on facebook.com/Guy and Harley, and you can go there and keep up to date with everything we're doing. This podcast is available on YouTube, Twitch, iTunes, Spotify, and Libsyn, and so the final edited version goes up on iTunes and Spotify. So do that. And also, if you're watching, make sure you hit thumbs up and like and subscribe and all of those things, because that really helps us as well. We've got 100 subscribers on Twitch and 100 subscribers on YouTube, so we're neck and neck. So go hit follow, subscribe, all that stuff.
And
otherwise, the next show will be should be on Thursday at 7 p.m. New Zealand time. Right?
Yeah, which should be post short film and post level 4 lockdown. Even we don't know.
Yeah. Well, post we'll be finding out on the Monday the 20th. Apparently, we hear from the government as to their intention to lift or not lift the lockdown, lift or extend the lockdown. So we will know by next episode, which is going to be on Thursday, the 23rd of April at 7 p.m. New Zealand time, is what we're aiming for.
So also keep the questions or comments coming, because
we really need
we're on
those.
Lockdown, guys. Wrap the fuck up.
We need you.
So it's always good to have some topics to talk about, because obviously Harley literally just told you what he's doing. He's going to stand in another part of his room.
Yeah,
so,
that is the plan.
So we need some stuff to talk about. But yeah, thank you for everyone that's been interacting and that's been listening and that's been commenting. And we'll see you all on the next one.